Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of Kiva's Place, the Kiva Murdoch Show and Podcast. We are so excited to have our guest in the studio tonight, and we're going to be talking about a huge, impactful summit that she has coming up very soon. So we thank you all for joining us on this another Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because you know how we do. And so we are going to go ahead and jump start and get the show started, because like I said, we have a lot to discover. But let me tell you a little bit about my guest and who I have in my studio tonight. So tonight joining me is Dr. Tekemia Dorsey. She has her doctorate of management in organization leadership from the University of Phoenix, and she has a master's in education in guidance and counseling from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Using her leadership principles and core pillars, Dr. Dorsey has become an established, best-selling and award-winning author and business professional. She is a keynote speaker. She's a facilitator. She does workshops. She's a presenter. She builds curriculums. She's a professor, an entrepreneur, radio show host, executive leader, and trainer/coach. She's an activist, she's an athlete, and she is a child of God. She is a well-rounded athlete. She's a runner. She does dual and triathlons, and she is an Ironman. So we are super excited to have her join us. So after our introduction, we're going to bring forth the one and only Dr. Tekemia Dorsey. So don't go anywhere. Go ahead and grab your favorite drink, get yourself comfortable, and enjoy the ride, because you're finally at home at Kiva's Place. So stay tuned.
Welcome to Kiva's Place, the Kiva Murdoch Show and Podcast. We hope that by the end of our show, you're left feeling empowered, motivated, and connected. So come on in the room, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and enjoy the ride, because you're finally at home at Kiva's Place. Now give it up for our host and producer, Coach Kiva Lernice Murdoch.
Yes, welcome back, family, to Kiva's Place, the Kiva Murdoch Show and Podcast. So, like I said earlier, we're going to go ahead and bring in Dr. Dorsey, and we're going to dive into what she has going on. So go ahead and get yourself comfortable, because you're in for a treat. So welcome to Kiva's Place, Dr. Dorsey. How are you?
I am great, and you are so awesome, and I love your intro. I love your energy. I love who you are. You have a wonderful smile going on, and I don't know if I can top that during this interview, but I'm going to try my best. So thank you so very much, and I appreciate being here.
Thank you. It is truly my honor. And to be quite honest, family, she is no stranger. She has actually been here before in a group setting. So I'm so glad to be able to just be a little bit stingy and have you all to myself tonight. Is that all right?
No, that is all right. And because of how impressed I was doing a group format, I had to make sure that I came on one-on-one, just so that I could steal you from everybody else. So right back at you.
It is my pleasure. My pleasure. Listen, you have so much going on, and I'm so excited to be able to talk about your upcoming summit.
Yes.
So, yes, let me give you a round of applause for that, because I know that you are definitely tackling some very important issues. So let's dive right into it. So tell me, first of all, tell my audience a little bit more about you before we jump straight into your summit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the overview you provided was exactly, it hit it right on the nose. But what most people don't know is, because I'm very modest in my achievements and accolades, because I believe that someone opened the doors for us, and so we do it for others. So my whole person of who I am and what I do is simply to leave a legacy, right? To become that, to reach that PhD of the urban culture like my grandmother did before she passed on. So I'm only at the master's level. So I'm hoping to aspire and rise to where she is, so I can leave a greater impact and legacy as she did. And anything else is just part of a bio.
Mm. Yes, ma'am. I love that. She said she's at a master's level. She trying to do with her grandmother at PhD. Hello. I love that. I love that. All
Thanks.
right. So in that process, I know that you really do a lot for the community. And one of your upcoming events is your summit. So the title of it is okay. Give me the correct title because I don't want to chop it up.
No, that's fine. It's called It's Time to Go Deep, the number one international development summit transforming urban markets.
Gotcha.
Boom. Right.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, and then I noticed that you have deep capitalized. So I want to dive into exactly what is the summit all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So the It's Time to Go Deep Summit focus around providing business growth and personal development to nonprofits, small businesses, and entrepreneurs while increasing their opportunity to be resources to the urban market. And so what we typically find is that not all nonprofits have an opportunity to engage in personal development, professional development, which means that their business may not grow or scale the way they want. The same with small businesses and also the same with entrepreneurs. We would like to think that everyone has $1 million budget when at times some people may only have a $50 budget, but we would never know. But when I think about the urban market, and here's the thing about it, Coach Murdoch, is that most people don't know it's three types of markets we live in: rural, suburban, and urban. Most people don't realize that they live in an urban market, they work in an urban market, they just don't know what it's called. However, inside of the urban market, there are disparities and then there is untapped potential. But what makes the hamster wheel go round is more collaboration and less competition. We want to go with through the summit through a deep dive, not surface, because we really want to be able to not just tackle those issues that we know that are prevalent in the world, but we want to give tangible frameworks, blueprints, systems, and processes to the leaders that are leading these organizations so that they can increase their bottom line, so that they can launch their grassroots initiatives, and most importantly, build community relationships that are sustainable and allow them to have a greater impact. And that's what our world needs. And it's not saying that the school systems and the state departments and the city council aren't doing their jobs. They are, but guess what? It's not enough. This is where the nonprofits come in, the consulting companies, the entrepreneurs, because when we work together and understand that if there is a collaboration, then we can tackle these issues, but it's a lot of gaps. And so the goal of the summit is not just to give theory, because Coach Murdoch, everyone has a story. But I'm not looking for people with stories. I'm looking for people that can transform others' lives through providing a step by step process. I mean, when you can take a topic and break it down so simplistic, a 5-year old can understand it. And we understand it as the kids' theory. Keep it simple, Sam, right? When you're able to teach professional development and business growth so simplistic, everybody transforms. And
I
that's what we're
love
looking
that.
to accomplish.
You know what? And that is so important. And let's be honest, there's really not a whole lot of well, there's a lot of resources, I'm sure. However, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is a lack of resources in the urban community. So, and that's why you appear to be very passionate about bridging those, gaps where resources may be limited there.
Yeah, and you're absolutely spot on. And there are resources, but there's a disconnect in the resources, right? So if I am a government entity and we have all of these programs going on, but I have a lack of outreach to the front, to the family, or my websites aren't identifying the programs that are available for prevention versus postvention and intervention, and if the only way that I can get to that family is that they're now in the system, we failed them.
Mhm.
However, if we can have more of a collaborative approach. And there are a lot of nonprofits out there that's doing great work. There are a lot of small businesses that are doing fantastic work and want to do more. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that want to do great work, but they're all in this single lane, right? There are not enough cross collaboration going, and that comes with a lack of personal development, personal training, business growth. And you do have entities like the SBA and SCORE and things like that, but how many nonprofits and organizations that have the money, the resources, the time, and all of those things in order for them to get there? Now, what's different about this summit? Because all summits are fantastic. They provide knowledge, they provide wisdom, and they provide direction. However, what makes this summit, it's time to go deep, the number one development summit transforming urban markets, is that we're just not coming to tell you a story. We're coming to give you tangible products and resources so that you can go out as an individual to impact yourself, impact your community, and then impact your family, and then impact your community. That's the difference. So I'm looking for dynamic speakers that can not just teach what they know, but help others to learn what they don't know. And that, Coach Kiever, is how we make the world go round, is by constantly pouring in the education and the practical knowledge so that people can walk away and feel empowered, not just through a whole bunch of theory, but something that's very tangible to them right at that moment.
I love that, because at the end of the day, you don't want any excuses for anything to hold you back from anything. So, it sounds like you are definitely providing that summit, that platform, and the resources. So, really, uh, attendees would definitely benefit, because they're going to walk away with a clear understanding of how can I progress forward beyond this point right here. So I greatly appreciate that. As far as speaker calls, and it's so important to have a diverse platform of speakers, and we do have a couple of your speakers here, but tell my viewers a little bit of the type of speakers you were looking for.
Yes, absolutely. And when you think about the disparities or the issues in the urban market, you think of just the melting pot. You know, when we grew up on a Michael Jackson song, "We Are the World, We Are the Future," and you see all of these people, and guess what? That's the same in the urban market. And one of the myths, Coach Heaver, is that the urban market is based off skin color that looks like us. And that's far from correct, right? What the urban market is solely centered on is the social economic deficits. But the heart of the urban market is family, right? So
Mhm.
I'm looking for speakers that represent DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. Guess what? LBGT is an issue, is a reality that we're faced with. Guess what? The fact that we have um, more an increase in Hispanic culture in the number one language, and our area is no longer English, is real. Guess what? There are education disparities, there are health disparities, there are mental health disparities, there are crisis disparities. And so I'm looking for speakers of a diverse background, regardless of age, ethnicity, gender preference, sexual orientation, people that really represent the community. And to be honest with you, that's everyone, Coach Keever. But what I'm not looking for is quantity. I don't need 100 speakers that going to get on a platform, and at the end of the day, the audience is so overwhelmed. They like, where do we go? I'm looking for quality speakers. So I'm only taking a small number of quality speakers that can be impactful. Because here's what I believe: if you focus in on a smaller number with a greater impact, you're going to have a greater output. If you have larger numbers with everybody all over the place, I don't want people to try to figure out which way do they go in X, Y, and Z. I really want to make this summit so impressionable and impact that people are saying, I need to go back there because this is what I learned. And a year from now, I'm being challenged, and this is what I need to come back. And you never know. They may be coming back to speak next year, not because of a story, but because they can take their process and break it down so that we'll understand.
I love it. So I just want to show them just a couple of your speakers. And when she says She has speakers from a diverse background, various ages. Like she is literally telling the truth. And this young man is extremely young. So, how old is he?
He's 13.
So there you have it, a young teenager. Um, she has a gentleman, she has a woman. So, I mean, it's very diverse. So, definitely, if you fit within those parameters, exactly what she says, she is not looking for quantity, but she is looking for substance. So, if you feel like you have something to contribute to this summit, definitely reach out to her. Wonderful. Now, your summit, let's talk about the breakdown of it, because it's my understanding your summit will be broken down um, into four various topics. So let's touch on those really quickly.
So just there are several areas or categories like that's not mentioned here that we're looking for, but these categories we want to go into. Before we can provide a solution, we need to understand a problem. Before we provide an output, we have to understand, as you mentioned, what I'm looking for is substance. Oftentimes, when nonprofits and consultants and entrepreneurs are putting together their value proposition, sometimes they don't understand what the issues are.
Mhm.
Disparity. But when we can bring the issues and frame the issue or the concerns around how they're developing their programs, products, their niche, their targeted audience, their value proposition, their marketing, then they have more of an opportunity to not just scale their business, launch grassroots initiatives, and build communities, but really allow their mission and a reason why they started to really catapult. And that's and that's where we are. So even if a leader or a person is interested or just got started, when you can frame the problem for people and we understand, Coach Kira, not everybody is research oriented and they don't have time for it. So I want to just dive into, in a time that we do have, at least four topics that will have our audience to think about what's happening, not just in the urban market, in the world, but then not what the issues are, but how can you frame where you are in life and where you are in business to be an asset and a resource.
Okay. So the first one would be mental health.
Yes, ma'am. And so mental health right now is common in the US. It was common prior to COVID-19. It's more prevalent right now because we are in the COVID-19 and a Delta variant. And nearly 1.5 US adults live with a mental illness. That's roughly 55.5 million as of 2019. And that was prior to the COVID Delta variant. Milton Mental illness is broken down into two categories: AMS, which is any mental illness, and then SMS, which is serious mental illness. And serious mental illness is a subsidiary of any mental illness, which means that 51.5 million has skyrocketed in the last 18 months. And so, my question to nonprofits right now, my question to small businesses right now, and even entrepreneurs: is mental health on your radar? Have you been able to develop a program or even are familiar with the statistics in your community, in your household, in your neighborhood that you can add value and be a resource? And if not, then you need to come and attend this summit because mental illness is one of those things that is in our family. It's in our lives, it's in our schools. And guess what? It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a Hispanic thing. It's a human thing. It's a human thing that we cannot escape from. And so mental illness is an issue, and we as leaders, nonprofits, small businesses, and entrepreneurs are the solutions. But I do understand you may not know how to navigate it. You may not know how to break down that barrier. You may not even know how to approach it. The It's Time to Go Deep Summit will give you all of that plus more to help you be an asset to your community and yourself.
I love that. And this is such a very important topic. And I feel like it does not get the recognition that is so rightfully deserved. And it's time for us to take these blinders off and make sure that mental health is in the forefront of everything that we do.
And
Um,
before we go to the next one, and I do want to share, these topics you mentioned, Coach Keever. I'm deep and passionate about this substance, and it's true because I grew up in an urban market. I live in an urban community. I'm an advocate for it, but I'm also um, living this experience. Right? Recently, one of my youth was gone for 8 days. Poof, gone. She's been uh handling or dealing with mental health for a few years. And I happened to speak with her therapist this week after going through trauma, and but excited. I mentioned today is my birthday, but my kids said, Mom, how was your day? And I said, you know what? It's a regular work day, but at least I'm not attending a funeral. That's real,
Amen.
right? And
Yeah.
so when I think about speaking with her therapist and she's like, well, Dr. Dorsey, you have PTSD. You're not me, but she's dealing with PTSD. She's dealing with bipolar level 2 and then psychosis. And I'm sitting there like, is she going to make it to adulthood, right? Because she's still underage. And she's like, will her pathway look like yours and mine? No. But can she be functional in life? The answer is yes. But her functionality will look different than mine, right? So now I'm looking at her for resources because this is new to me. Well, guess
Mhm.
what? How many households, how many families, how many parents, how many single parents, how many grandparents, how many aunts and uncles, how many people that are running nonprofits and small business and entrepreneurs that are dealing with the same thing but may not know it. At first, Coach Keever, people was like, why is she doing it again? Well, doing what? Obviously it's something, but no, I couldn't put my hands on it. Now I
Mhm.
know, right?
Mhm.
And now I know, then I have to be an advocate, not just for my own kids, but for every kid and every family and every resource out there to do something to move the needle towards a solution versus a problem. So
I
that's
love
real
it.
for me.
Right. And it's real for a lot of others too. The difference between you and some of the others is that you probably see it every day, you touch it, and you put the resources out there versus some of us, we try to hide it. Let's just be honest. So, yeah. Um, so let's talk about health disparities because this is another huge issue in the urban market.
Yeah, absolutely. And, going back to personal experience and a lot of relatable, I grew up inside the heart of Baltimore, right? So, it was fried chicken and cookies and homemade baked stuff and collard greens and rice and all that good stuff. And eventually family members were dying off and I didn't understand it until I got to college, looked in the mirror and saw my first role. Luckily, I didn't have I had a health disparity in terms of weight, but even in terms of things that's prevalent such as diabetes. Right now, according to the CDC, there are 34.2 million people with diabetes. That's
Mm.
60.5% of the current US population. Diagnosed is 26.9 million people, and 26.8 of them are adults. In terms of undiagnosed, that's 7.3 million people, 21.4% are undiagnosed. Pre-diabetes. Now, diabetes means that you're already on insulin. You're either type 1 or type 2. You're already overweight. It's something. And guess what? Diabetes leads to cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, breast cancer. In case you didn't know, look it up. But then we have the pre-diabetic. There are a total of 88 million people age 18 or older pre-diabetic. That's 34.5% of the adult US population. Those 65 and older, Coach Keever, that's 24.2 million people ages 65 or older that's pre diabetic. My question to nonprofits right now, to small business owners and to entrepreneurs, do you have a health component to programming? or to your products and services? Have you reached out from a small business standpoint to work with a nonprofit, or a nonprofit to, an entrepreneur, to work collaboratively to attack the health disparities in the world? But here's the reality of it, Coach Keever. This is not an urban market thing. This is
Mm-hmm.
a worldwide phenomena, according to the CDC. And guess what? After Michelle Obama got into the office, the health disparity statistics went up more in the rural area than the urban area, because she was providing the healthy lunch program. So inside the urban community, she was able to change it through the schools. Trump got rid of it, but during that time, there was a reversal. But when you're looking at a nationwide phenomena, we're hoping that our current youth, our current adults, and our uh, grandparents will live for the next 10 years. But how can nonprofits, small businesses, and entrepreneurs work together to attack this phenomenon now? This is why they need to come to and register, because it's free, to the It's Time to Go Deep Summit right now. And if you are an expert in this area, we're definitely looking to see how you can have an impact and help leave a legacy when we're dealing with health disparities, because it's real.
I love it. I love it. And let's talk about homelessness. That's another huge one.
That's another, and the thing about homelessness, Coach Keever, is that, again, it's like poverty. It's it's ageless. It's boundless. You have youth today that are homeless going to school. They were in shelters during the COVID-19 pandemic, with hoping to get access through their school system to have an education. That didn't come together as the school system or the homeless youth would have allowed. But then, from an adult standpoint, as of January 2020, there were, and I'm looking at my statistics, so I want to make sure that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
quoting anything wrong. There were 580,466 people homeless. Of that number, there were 70% that were single, and then the rest of it were adults with youth and families, or youth that had family inside. So 580,466 worldwide. And that's only what we know. We're talking adult, we're talking youth, we're talking families. What nonprofit, what current small business, and what entrepreneur in a single motion right now is attacking this? But how can we work collectively as a unit to combat this and work more with competition, collaboration, and less competition? Well, the reason why the It's Time to Go Deep Summit is important is because we're bringing you the statistics. We're bringing you the problems. We're bringing you the solution. We're bringing you the process, the framework, the blueprint. We're bringing you a process to build an award winning or any program with assessments and step by step, so that not only will you be educated on the issue, you can position yourself in an opportunity of influence and make a difference. Because here's what we know, Coach Keever: what gets measured gets managed. But if we ain't measuring nothing, because we don't know the statistics, because we're not researchers, how can we really frame and have the value to our community the way we want? That's the difference with our summit. And homelessness is just one of four that we're tackling tonight. And the point that I want to get through with these topics, Coach Kiva, is that there are enough topics that anyone can figure out where they are. You don't have to take on education. You don't have to take on health disparities. You don't have to take on homelessness. You don't have to do something. But if you're in business, you have a passion in the pit of your stomach for something. And if you're trying to figure out where you need to fit in and where you desire to fit in, or you need to get a jump started, you need a mentor, you need a framework to help you get jump started or to scale, that It's Time to Go Deep Summit is it. As you said, Coach Keever, go deep is highlighted for a reason, because there's no more of that surface stuff, right? Oftentimes people go in professional development and hear phenomenal speakers, and they walk out like, where do we go from here? Have you
Mhm.
been in that scenario? I know I
Yep.
have.
Yep.
Especially when you're talking about DEIA, right, Coach Kiva?
Mhm.
DEIA been around since Martin Luther King, Thomas Jefferson, President George Washington. It ain't start. However, because of George Floyd, all of a sudden we're in a DEIA age. Okay. What is DEIA? Diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. That's what we live every day as women and black women and
Mhm.
minority women and business women and no and males too. The 13-year-old who you put up that's going to be a speaker, he has a neurological tick disorder,
Mm. Wow.
right? Absolutely. He's been living it for 9.5 years, from elementary to middle school. Can you imagine how rough life is for him? Guess what? But it's not the problem, is how we bring the voice in a process so that others can learn. Through your platform, others are learning. Whether they absorb it now or absorb it later, they can't say that they weren't taught. But homelessness, health disparities, and mental illness is just one of three deep seated issues in the US.
Yes, and let's not forget education. Let's talk a little bit about education. That's a beast all by itself,
So,
with
absolutely.
just the
So,
disparities in it. Yeah.
you're right. And in education, I actually have a longer history from an education background than I do leadership outside of the urban market. It's been about 30 years now. Being inside the system and just having education as a part of my programming. And we know, as you mentioned, prior to COVID, Coach Heaver, there were disparities, right? But now, because we're in the middle of the COVID and the Delta variant, those issues have skyrocketed, and they've
Mhm.
skyrocketed because at one point there was this educational legislation, No Child Left Behind. Well, unfortunately, at one point those people who wrote it were in the classroom, but the disparity came because they've been out of the classroom for 30 years. So that was disparity in itself. They tried to have one piece of legislation that was uniform for everyone across the country. Well, anyone knows that every urban market and every radio podcast show is different. What makes it no different in the urban market? I mean, in education, right? But here's what I do want to share with the audience, and I want to leave this nugget because 39% of people worldwide are poor and don't have formal education at all. That's 15 million girls, primary school age, will not have the opportunity to read and write in primary school compared to 10 million boys worldwide, not just the urban market. And according to our world and data, some countries are still lagging behind because literacy is below 50% among the youth. So, my question to nonprofits again, to small businesses again, and entrepreneurs, is education part of your programming? Is it part of your product? Is it a service that you offer? Are you familiar with the statistics? If not, go right now to www.itstimetogodiepsummit.com and register because it's free. Because here's what we know again, education is not just, hey, give me $5, Coach Keevan, let me go spend it. The education is the fundamental ground. It's the foundation of who we are and who we're to become. So if the literacy gaps, if the education gaps from primary, middle, and high, and post-secondary, because I work with college on a higher level as well, is so widespread, what does that say for our country and our leadership in the next 20 years? When cursive writing is no longer being taught, all students know how to do is print. If students have a problem in long and short comprehension, how are they going to read a contract, sign a contract, develop a contract, or negotiate a contract? We talking entrepreneurism. Again, we talked about before, some people don't know how to identify or spell entrepreneur, but when we're really able to go deep, and we're not saying take on every issue in education, but let's just be real. Our summit is about education, educating you in personal growth, personal development, and business growth. When you become empowered, guess what? You now can go and empower your community in
Mhm.
these areas because we're bringing the statistics for you, we're bringing the resources to you. All you have to do is show up and consider which one of these many topics that you might be interested in or not.
I love it. I love it. So, like Dr. Dorsey, she just dropped a ton of nuggets on why you should be a part of this summit. So, I'm super excited to be involved in this pre-launch. And like she said, it's absolute. You're not charging a dime.
Nope.
All of this work, all of this resource, all of this education, and it's absolutely free. So registration is now open, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to the website. It's time to go deep summit.com. Again, it's time to go deep summit.com. And if you have any issues for whatever reason, you can also reach out to her on social media. You can visit her at facebook.com/Dr. Tekemia D. Okay, got that? So we're not done with you quite yet. I'm going to take a quick commercial break and then bring you back, and we're going to drop all of your other contact information and mention very briefly about your book, and also you have a curriculum as well, and you also have a Is Too Deep Academy that is
Yep.
also associated with this particular summit. So I definitely want to shed light on that as well. So, like I said, don't go anywhere, family. We'll be right back. So definitely stay tuned.
Hey guys, what's going on? What's going on? It's your man, Eric Zuli. I'm the international commercial Axe body spray star. I've done films. I'm on Amazon Prime right now. And I built my own social network platform. We have 300 million people that we reach on our network. And I'm a man of God. And I'm telling you right now, man, where do you need to be? Oh, yeah, that's it. Keever's Place. You gotta go to Keever's Place. You gotta watch Keever's Place. You gotta hang out in Keever's Place. It's about Keever. You hang out in Keever's Place. The easy way.
And welcome back to Keever's Place, the Keever Murdoch Show and podcast. Before I bring back Dr. Tekemia Dorsey, I do have a couple of, one quick announcement. So join us this Saturday, October the 16th, for our Domestic Violence Awareness Walk. So this particular walk will be hosted by Hush No More, which is led by Dr. Vanessa Guyton. So definitely join us in Columbia, South Carolina from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The walk will be at 704 Gabriel Street in Columbia, South Carolina. Again, this Saturday, October the 16th, starting at 8, and it will end at 11. We will have vendors there, speakers, and yours truly will be one of the speakers this Saturday. So definitely join us if you're in the Columbia area. It is going to be an awesome event. All right, so thank you so much for being with us here on Kiva's Place. I'm going to bring back to our stage Dr. Tekemia Dorsey. Welcome back, Queen.
Thank you so very much. And I love the fact that, another one of the issues that we was just talking about, domestic violence, human trafficking, our kids, and, they're disappearing like people eating crabs, right? You run water and they're just popping up everywhere. And, kudos to you lending a voice for change, and also the sponsor, or, the event that's coming up in 2 days.
Yes, and it's so important. And like you said, it doesn't make sense to see all of these issues and disparities and not be touched or not be moved and want to advocate and just do more. And I'm a firm believer that you don't go through things just for yourself.
Right.
I believe that our life, our circumstances, our testimony is literally to help somebody else. So whatever we can do, we are definitely there to, help shed light on so many issues and disparities within our own community. So,
right. And, and if a man, I know we have to, we're wrapping things up, but here's the other thing. And, I want to be able to be transparent, because that's just who I am. Right. And sometimes people may not like what you say, but, shame the devil and tell the truth. Right. The non-us get it done. They put all differences to the side. They make it work. They show up. They support. They on this board, and it's not about a handout or a bargain. They're just about making it work. And their number one priority is family, family, family. So anything that's moving or interrupting it, they make it happen. And like I said, the urban market, it's all of us, right? The non-us, the inside of us, the mixed up us, to integrate. It's just all of us. But at the end of the day, we're human, right? And we all comes with positives and negatives and flaws and all of those things. And it's not that everyone could take on all these issues. But because we're fearlessly and wonderfully made in His image, we can take on anything and just be an asset. And so that's the real call, and the real thing that I'm hoping people understand is that make a stance on something and add your voice and make sure that you're part of that solution, because tomorrow isn't promised. But we do know if we don't step up to the plate, tomorrow may not be here for anyone, because things are getting worse before it gets better. Okay, back to Coach Kiva, because it ain't my show. Okay.
But that is so true, and I thank you for, number one, your transparency and your knowledge, and being, putting yourself out there to be available and to be a resource for such an amazing platform. So thank you so much. Like she said, if you are wanting to be involved in this event, definitely visit the website again. It's to go deep. It's time to go deep summit.com. It's time to go deep summit.com. And on this website, is there also space for them to register if they're wanting to become a speaker?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
A speaker. We're doing advertisements. So if they feel that we can add value and awareness to either their cause or their business, they can do advertisement. Yep. So they can come a speaker, register a friend, just bring the whole family, including the youth, because we have youth for youth. We have males for males. We have adults for adults. But at the end of the day, we're just all in this together. So
I love it. I love it. So if you are wanting to connect with her on social media, because she is all over social media, again, her Facebook profile is facebook.com/Dr. Tekemia D. That's for Facebook, okay? IG and LinkedIn is at Dr. Tekemia Dorsey. Her last name is spelled out there, so don't get it twisted, okay? I want you to make sure that y'all find her, okay? So at Dr. Tekemia Dorsey there. Before I let you go, I want you to tell me a little bit about your academy and then your book and your curriculum you have coming up.
Yes, so I have a deep dive academy for, because my thing again, which is just a subsidiary of the summit, is that my gift is to break things down into simple chunks, simple pieces to build it back up. Because again, we all have this mindset of wanting to make $1 million, but if we're struggling with $5, then the million gotta wait. So my thing is all about process, framework, um, and blueprint. So in my deep dive academy, we dive into topics that are relevant to nonprofits, business owners, entrepreneurs, and it allows them to not just learn how to grow their business, but I give them the 5-step formula to reach the urban market, launch grassroots initiatives, and to scale their business. And again, the urban market is an untapped market that people really need to become familiar with because you're already connected and invested. You just got to recognize it. So my company and my staff helps you to go deep.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So your book and curriculum, those are also tied into It's Time to Go Deep as well, correct?
Yes. So the one thing that we talked about earlier, Coach Kiever, and it's kind of like the Bible, right? You know, you see the outside and then you open it up. And so I do, and I have been on the side where curriculum has been really hard to not just develop, but execute and implement. And so I have an award-winning curriculum for youth, helping them to go from student athletes into leadership. And so leadership at the end of the day, which is what we all talk about, is the meat and heart of how we make the world go around and break the hamster wheel. So our young youth today can be leaders if there is a bona fide curriculum. And so my curriculum is grounded on theoretical and conceptual framework around a secular model that I developed back on my first PhD program. And now it's available for the general audience, nonprofits, consultants, entrepreneurs, so that you too can help develop student leaders of today to take their rightful place tomorrow.
I love it. I love it. Now you also have something for adults.
Yes. So this actually goes with my Deep Dive Academy, which ties into the It's Time to Go Deep Summit. And this is called a deep dive. Oh, could you put it up for me? Oh, yeah. A deep dive book and workbook. And in this book, not the workbook, the book is where I've gone from developing our nonprofit from scratch to an award winning international model. And then the workbook allows adults, leaders, career professionals to develop their own blueprint. Sometimes people just need a workbook to work through. And so
Mhm.
that's the workbook that accompanies the book with all of the testimonies and the case studies, and for people to really see that it's possible. But it's not what I know, is what people can think through. And one of the hardest thing, Coach Keever, is that in the world of technology, everybody want to be millionaires in 60 seconds. But in hindsight, we really have to pull back. We have to take a breath, and we really got to think through every move we make, because when we think through it and we develop that plan, it makes sense. We're not wasting money, we're not wasting time. We can speak articulate, we can sell ourselves, and people will be attracted to quality and substance versus quantity. So the whole goal behind the curriculum for the empowering triathletes to lead, breaking the cycle of poverty in urban communities, the deep dive, and then also the Deep Dive Academy is to go deep and provide substance for any and everyone in any type of realm of business that's looking to go there. And if you look at my bio, I'm the first African American in general to be elected to the USAT board of directors. I've broken barriers because I quickly understood, not just through my PhD, that you can want something, but if you're not willing to roll up your sleeves and get the work done and not do it for accolades, but because you really have a heart and a passion to do, eventually they will invite you to a seat at the table. But if
Mhm.
you're just looking at a seat with no substance, that seat will always be empty, and so will your dreams.
I love it. Point well made. I love that. I have truly enjoyed having you here. You have been so insightful. Um, and I'm super excited about your summit coming up. I'm going to drop your website and registration link one more time. Again, family, go to her website at itstimetogodiepsummit.com. She has all of her registration information. This summit is absolutely free. She has room for you to become a speaker as well. So if you are a speaker and if you can tackle at least one of those four areas that she covered a little bit earlier in this presentation, definitely reach out to her, get registered, and get yourself involved in this excellent summit. This is going to turn lives. It should change lives. It should change businesses, models, perspectives, all of that, build frameworks. My sister got it for you, so you have no excuse. Okay. Okay.
Can I end with one other thing, Coach Heber? And
Sure.
this is not a means to an end. So by no means is it the answer to everything. Because as I mentioned, every summit, every effort has quality. But our summit is different because we going deep.
Mhm.
Because we're looking for media sponsors, we're looking for sponsors in general. So we want to make sure that if you want to be involved in some way, just reach out to us because we're here for you. And thank
And
you for tonight.
and that is so important because like you said earlier, we have all attended summits, conferences, symposiums that are all wonderful, but then you are left feeling like you got so much information, you just don't know how to distribute your energy. And what I thoroughly appreciate about your upcoming summit is that it seems very focus centered, like it's centered focus. You are really going to really break down those areas into like that saying said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So, yeah. So, this summit is really going to be that elephant to where they're really going to break it down for you, give you the framework, teach you exactly what you need to do. Like there is no guesswork in it. So that's what I thoroughly appreciate about this summit. So I'm super excited that you've, felt comfortable coming on our show and sharing that. And of course, here at Keeper's Place, the Keeper Murdoch Show and Podcast, we will be here to support you in whatever capacity we can. And who knows, maybe I may be a speaker on that summit as well.
Look, let me tell you, from your mouth to my mind, that was going to be my next question when we log off. Like, but oh, say we still filming, so let me stop acting like that. Yes, absolutely, amen, hallelujah.
Listen, Keeper's Place, you're at home, honey.
Yes,
we keep it real. This is not no like stuffed up kind of show. That's why it's called Keeper's Place. You're at home, so you can just be who you are, and you're fine. So,
well, I want to let you know, I was thinking the same thing. Like now she know what it is. I'm wondering what she's thinking, and you said it. I'm telling you, I was just thinking that. But okay, let me hold my composure again.
sounds good. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed you, and you are definitely welcome back anytime. Like I said, you are definitely not a stranger. So anytime you have anything else coming up, girl, definitely reach out to us, and we would love to have you back. So any final words you want to leave with our audience, the floor is yours.
Yeah, and so I'll just keep it simple because I just believe that sometimes we get in our own way. And if you're listening to this, if you're watching a replay, if you happen to come across someone, just understand that you are in a position to teach what you know, but you're also in a position to learn what you don't know. And when we remain the follower and the leader, then that's a balance. If we're always leading, always teaching, then we're missing prime opportunities. But when we can fall in a position of humbleness, when we can fall in a position to say, hey, I'm the expert, but I don't know it all, and I'm remaining optimistic to new knowledge and new areas and new ways and things I don't know, that's how we evolve as humans first. And every time that we wake up in the morning, that is a opportunity to continue to evolve. You'll continue to evolve until the day God you calls you home. But if you listening to this and you watching this and you wake up, that time is not now. So teach what you know and learn what you don't know. And that is the theme of the It's Time to Go Deep Summit, the #1 international development summit transforming urban markets. And we look
I
forward to
love
seeing you
it.
on the other side.
We did not get the dates for the summit. So, yeah.
Yes, it is January 13th through the 15th, 2022. So that's a Thursday through Saturday. So we're not going to impact your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can have fun. You can come be a part, bring the kids, sit at home. It's virtual, so you don't have to travel. Guess what? We're taking away all the barriers that can prevent you from showing up. And guess what? We're taking away all the barriers that will prevent you from not being an asset and a resource to the urban market, because you are an asset and the urban market needs you. So show up January 13th through the 15th.
There you have it. There you have it, family. I have no more left to say, but register. Go to itstimetogodiegsummit.com, okay? But until next time, family, this has truly been an amazing show, and you know how we do it every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come right on back next week, because guess what? We're going to do it all over again with another amazing guest. And next week is going to be an exciting show. I told y'all season 3 was going to be lit, so I have a special surprise for you next Thursday night. So definitely join us. So until next time, let's continue to share, connect, and glow, because building your network also builds your net worth. So until next week, family, we love y'all. Peace and blessings. Good night.
Thank you for watching Kiva's Place, the Kiva Murdoch Show and Podcast. Tune in every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Kiva's Place. To be a guest on our show, text the word guest to 803-368-3030 or visit us at tinyurl.com/Kiva's Place Book. And watch us on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire as we're broadcasting in more than 60 million homes worldwide.